Hello guys, in this video we will see a quick tutorial for GrooviXBeat. In this tutorial we'll primarily be using samples to create a beat. So to start with, we will actually create a new project. Let's call it March 1. So as soon as you create a project, you will see a grid layout. This is pretty much standard for most live performance type DAWs, where you have tracks which are columns and you have scenes which are rows. Each cell can hold a clip. A clip can be a wave file, a sample file, or a MIDI file. In this demo, we're going to use primarily samples to see how it's going to work. Only one clip in a track can play at a time, but all the clips or any clip you select can play in a scene. So this will become apparent as soon as we start using it. So this is the only thing you need to remember on how this works. So let's go to our library of loops. So we'll start with the kick loop. And currently we actually have set the BPM to be 120. Let me change it to 128 because most of my samples are in 128 BPM. So actually you don't have to keep the sample BPM need not be exactly the same as the project BPM because it has a built-in stretching system that we'll see later. For initial demo, we will basically use the BPM of the sample to be exactly the same as the BPM of the project. So here I'm going to drop off a few kicks. And then let me look at some bass loops which have the same BPM. So let me start with these 4 bass loops. So now let me look for some hats. I'm going to take these 2 hats and let me look for some instrument loops. Again, these 2 are over here. And then I can also look at some synth loops which have the same BPM. So let me look for 128 BPM synth loop. So these 2 are here. So let's try this. So once you have dropped everything, you now have a way to play these things. So let's switch to performance mode. In performance mode, what happens is only a clip that is clicked on gets triggered. So let's go to play. When you press play, it basically says that all the samples are ready to be played. And you can just click on a single track to start playing. So let's start with, for example, this hi-hat to start with, and we'll introduce the beats, the bass, and other elements slowly. So let's start with this. Now we're going to introduce I hope that gave you an idea of exactly how to use this. Now let's see what happens in case we have a sample that does not exactly match the BPM of the project. So let me look for a hi-hat, and let's take something that's a little off, which is like say 120 BPM hi-hat. So I'll just play it up. Now when I play the kick along with this, you see this is slightly off. The hi-hat, you can see that these 2 are off. Basically the kick and the hi-hat are not exactly in sync. To do that, to fix that, I'm going to just clear this. I'm going to turn on the auto cue, and now I'm going to drop the same sample over here. When we do this, it basically will stretch the sample to the project BPM. Now when I play, now you can see that both are in sync. So there are other ways of doing it, but this is the quickest and easiest way of doing it when you're just playing around with this. So this product was primarily developed so that I could actually use my samples and quickly put together a groove beat. Hope this is helpful for others also. Thank you.